Hey guys, welcome to the final episode of Geopolitics Explained. To be honest, there wasn't much explaining, and that's because I was still trying to test the waters, see how much I could do, how far I could get, and what new things I could learn or you could learn. And I guess the most disappointing thing about this series for me was structure. By the time I began structuring and putting in more effort into my videos, I was 10 videos in. But we live and we learn. Someone also called me out for making the videos way too short, which I did on purpose for the sake of time. My life is so busy that it's a miracle that I was able to consistently upload. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, today our focus is on South Africa. Fun fact, I am originally from South Africa, so unlike all the other countries I've never been to, today we have home ground advantage. Before the 1600s, the San and Khoikhoi occupied the lands of South Africa. Later on, Bantu-speaking groups migrated to South Africa, bringing farming and ironworking. In 1652, the Dutch East India Company established a settlement at the Cape of Good Hope. Dutch settlers, aka Boers, expanded inland, often clashing with indigenous people. In 1806, the British took control of the Cape Colony. During this time, often referred as the Great Trek, many Boers moved inland to escape British rule. They formed independent republics like the Transvaal and Orange Free State. In 1867, diamonds were discovered and gold in 1886. With no doubt, this discovery increased tensions. These tensions led to the Anglo-Boer Wars between the British and Boers. The British eventually won and took control. In 1910, British colonies and Boer republics united, creating a government dominated by the white minority. In 1948, the government introduced apartheid, a system of strict racial segregation. Laws separated people by race in housing, education, and jobs. But resistance grew, led by groups like the African National Congress. Nelson Mandela, a key figure in the resistance, was sentenced to life in prison for conspiring to overthrow the South African apartheid government through sabotage, treason, and violent conspiracy. After pressure and sanctions from most parts of the world, apartheid began to end in the early 1990s. Mandela was released in 1990 after serving 27 years. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic election, and Mandela became the first black president. Today, South Africa is a democratic country with a progressive constitution, but it still faces challenges like inequality, unemployment, and crime. South Africa's geography is one of its biggest strategic advantages. Located at the southern tip of Africa, South Africa sits between the Atlantic and Indian Ocean, which allows it to control major sea routes between Europe, Asia, and the Americas. South Africa has multiple climates, which enables diverse agriculture across the country. Water scarcity is a major constraint for growth. On the bright side, it is one of the most resource-rich countries globally, with gold, platinum, diamonds, coal, and more. It is also one of the most biodiverse countries in the world. It has savannas, forests, grasslands, and fynbos in the Western Cape. South Africa has a population of approximately 60 to 62 million people, and unlike most, if not all, the previous countries we discussed, South Africa has a young population. South Africa has the most diversified and industrialized economy in Africa. Major drivers include the services sector, manufacturing, mining, and agriculture. Its financial system is one of the most advanced. It has massive mineral reserves and has the best developed infrastructure in Africa. Many multinational companies use South Africa as their African base. Moving on to the bad news. Number one, unemployment, which is the biggest issue, especially for a country with such a young population. Apartheid might have ended, but inequality is among the highest in the world in South Africa. South Africa has power shortages due to problems at Eskom. Because of those issues, South Africa's GDP has been weak for years. Its major exports are minerals, vehicles, and agriculture products. Major trade partners include China, the United States, and Germany. South Africa could have a great future with fintech, renewable energy, e-commerce, education, and skills platforms. But energy instability, political mismanagement, and brain drain are future risks. The South African National Defence Force has four main branches: the Army, Air Force, Navy, and Military Health Service. Pre-1994, South Africa's military was strong and well-funded, to a point that it even possessed nuclear weapons. I'm not saying it doesn't possess any strong capabilities in the modern age. South Africa's military has an advanced defense industry, well-trained officers, advanced aerospace systems, missiles, and armored vehicles. But budget constraints, aging equipment, limited projection, and corruption issues make it a mid-tier military globally. Did someone say corruption? Because South Africa's government is really, really corrupt. First off, at least it's not a dictatorship like some African countries. South Africa is a parliamentary republic. The South African government consists of three branches: executive, legislative, and judicial. The two main parties are the ANC and DA. The ANC has been in power since 1994. Jacob Zuma, president of South Africa from 2009 to 2018, was the central figure in a systematic corruption scandal known as state capture, where private interests, primarily the Gupta family, influenced cabinet appointments, state-owned enterprise contracts, and government policy for personal gain. A scandal that would take me weeks just to go through. Short story short, the president was corrupt. Almost a decade later, the South African government is still corrupt, lacks in-service delivery, and debates around economic policy are probably not ending anytime soon. On the bright side, South Africa has a strong constitution, independent judiciary, and regular credible elections. Believe it or not, South African culture makes it one of the greatest countries in the world. Trust me when I say that. I mean, have I ever lied to you? 11 official languages, family and community, tradition, Ubuntu, which means I am because we are. Music is one of South Africa's strongest cultural exports, with genres like Amapiano and global artists like Black Coffee, art, film, literature, sport, and of course, amazing food. South African culture isn't your average woke multicultural propaganda. It's deeply diverse, historically layered, and rapidly evolving. It's one of the few places where traditional systems, modern capitalism, and global culture all exist at the same time.